Hello, everyone. Welcome back. The shoreline of the Chesapeake Bay holds many secrets where the constant tide unearths the past. With that being said, let's get right into it. In November 2024, a routine fossil hunt turned into a somber discovery when the bay yielded something far more recent and human than usual. A local fossil hunter searching the exposed beach in Calvert County found more than just ancient teeth. During a particularly low tide, an anomaly in the cliff face caught his eye. It wasn't rock or prehistoric bone, it was wood. What emerged from the shifting sand was a nearly intact, century old coffin. The find was remarkable. Inside lay a complete human skeleton. Experts quickly arrived on the scene, noting the phenomenon of the eroding coastline. Old, private cemeteries and family plots, once safely inland, are now being exposed by the bay's relentless pull. This individual was likely part of an unmarked, forgotten burial site. Authorities examined the site, but did not remove the remains immediately. With the tide threatening to wash the discovery away, the finder made a personal decision. Driven by a sense of duty, he carefully excavated the skeleton and its coffin himself. The mystery deepened during the examination. An unusual defect was noted on the skull. It was a mark that could indicate ancient trauma, adding a potential layer of intrigue to a life lived long ago.
Now to a story you will only see on News 4, a mystery along the Chesapeake Bay, more than 100 years in the making.
News 4's Mark Seagraves has brought us stories of shark teeth. Remember those?
Yes.
Dolphin skeletons, millions of years old, things he's found along the shores of Calvert County. But a few weeks ago, a local man found a coffin with a human skeleton inside.
And that is where this mystery begins. Of course, Mark Seagraves joins us live from the Chesapeake Bay in Calvert County. More on the story. Mark, what is this all about?
Yeah, it's a mystery as to how this got here. You know, as you said, we're used to finding shark teeth, crocodile teeth, even whale bones along the shore here. And honestly, it's not unusual to find a rare human bone once in a while. But the day before Election Day, a local man not far from here was combing the beach looking for shark teeth, and he made an amazing discovery. A nearly intact coffin with a nearly complete skeleton inside that appears to be at least 100 years old. George Oliver typically spends his days combing these shores looking for fossils. He never expected to find a coffin with human remains inside, but there it was.
You could see there's a coffin there, but it's completely under the water.
Oliver showed us where he first found the coffin during a low tide.
The head was right here, and the feet were over there.
A month later, and another very low tide revealed the coffin again. Pictures show the human skeletal remains, including the skull.
Once I found it, I called the sheriff's department. They called the Archaeological Society.
After the experts left, Oliver carefully removed the remains and dug up the coffin, concerned about what might happen if they were left behind. Oliver has pieced together the coffin. Based on the construction of the coffin and the condition of the bones, the remains appear to be at least 100 years old. But where the coffin came from remains a mystery.
When I first found it, you could not tell that there was human remains in it. You just thought that it was full of beach sand.
Oliver turned the bones over to the Calvert County Sheriff's Office. Kelsey Ward showed us the bones. She says it's not unusual to find human remains hundreds of years old, but an entire skeleton is rare.
This is probably the most we've had of one body. Typically, we might find a leg bone or an arm bone, or just not this much of one skeleton, and that's just because they found it in the coffin.
While she's unable to determine the age, race, or gender of the remains, there is a clue as to how this person died.
We did think it was quite interesting that he had a kind of a natural looking defect to his skull here. If I was working this as a more recent case and I found that, I would venture to guess maybe a gunshot wound or blunt force trauma of some sort, but obviously not having the rest of the skull makes that kind of difficult.
The bones and the coffin will be reinterred at a local church cemetery. Oliver would prefer to see the coffin preserved in a local museum.
This is somebody's craftsmanship. This should be displayed.
It's an incredible story.
It is. And I'm surprised at how much of it there is.
Right.
I'm surprised that there were so many remains left when you can see how open it was. And there was no way that it was moving because it was 3 inches deep in the clay. It's a shame that it had to happen the way it happened, but I think it's awesome that at least we found him or her, and now they'll be able to rest, hopefully.
So we will probably never know where that coffin and the remains came from, how they ended up buried in the shoreline here along the western shore of the Chesapeake Bay, or who that person was. There is one more twist to this story. This is not the first time Mr. Oliver has found human remains along his stretch of beach. About 15 years ago, he found a leg bone in about the same location. In fact, when he found this coffin, he thought that that was where his original leg bone came from that he found 15 years ago, until he started removing the bones and found that there were 2 legs in there. That original leg bone was also reinterred in a local cemetery here in Calvert County. Leon, back to you guys.
Such a fascinating story.
That's what we need now is CSI, Calvert County.
I would love, well, Mark's on the job for sure.
Mark's
right. Mark, thanks so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine working there at that archaeological society, and you think you know what you're going to be working on today.
And try to find out what's the story behind now these skeletal remains and what happened.
Interesting. All right, thanks.
The identity remains unknown, a true secret of the sand. However, the story ends with peace. The remains are scheduled for a proper reinterment at a nearby church cemetery, honoring the dead where the sea could not reach them. A quiet end for someone whose final rest was disturbed only briefly by the shifting landscape of the Chesapeake. What are your thoughts on coastal erosion revealing forgotten history in such a direct way? Do you think George Oliver, the finder, was justified in excavating the remains himself when the authorities didn't immediately act? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and as usual, if you're a fan of urban legends, folklore, unsolved mysteries, cold cases, and all things mysterious, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.